People, it is kicking off. Welcome to Live Palace News. I'm joined by Patrick here. As you can see from the title, we have a player, it seems like, inbound sooner rather than later, Eddie Nketiah. And there's a domino effect, it seems like, with Odsonne Edouard potentially being rumoured to be free to leave this window, as well as a few other players that's coming out. So it is going to be a very, very busy show. As always, if you do enjoy the content, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel to not miss out on future Palace content. I'm joined by Patrick here, and also make sure to get involved in the comment section and in the comment section down below if you are watching it on replay. Patrick, it's always good to have you on Palace News episodes, especially when things are actually seem like it's happening. But how are you anyways today?
I'm fine, D. How are you?
Oh, actually, I genuinely asked that, but I mean, this topic is going to be interesting when we talk about Nketiah. For those who don't know, me and Patrick have been talking all day, and T unfortunately couldn't make it. Of course, we know that Patrick isn't really a fan of talking about rumors, etc. But the timing of it was meant to happen. It was meant to happen. So I'm pretty sure there'll be a little debate going on in a few minutes time regarding our new striker. So that'll be fun. But big up to every single one of you. There's over 160 people already. That is crazy. So thanks to everyone who's joining us live tonight. Let's start off with our new player that is meant to be on the way. And according to David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, Bobby Manzi, so all of the most reliable sources. Let's start off with Ornstein. Arsenal are expected to accept the offer from Crystal Palace to sign Eddie Nketiah, bid worth around £25 million plus 5 million in add-ons, making a complete £30 million offer. Fabrizio Romano adds to that, saying that contract is in place, salary agreed, and final details are being sorted to prepare all documents, club-to-club agreement, getting closer for Nketiah. Patrick, it seems like we don't have a new number 10. We have a new number 9. I kind of know your thoughts, but maybe you've had a bit of time to think about it. Let the chat know. How do you feel about this still?
First, I don't know why. I don't know what you're trying to set up for me to have. I don't know what you're trying to do here, but let me express my thoughts. So D and I have been going back and forth on this for a while. First thing I'm going to say is I don't care who Palace sign. I always back the players that we sign. I'm not kind of person, like unlike a lot of fans who when a player comes in, they're automatically going to be negative. I'm not negative. I'm not excited about the signing. That's my first. I'm just not excited about it. The fee, again, is a lot of money, but again, it's not my money. I wouldn't pay 30 or 25 plus 5 for Nketiah, but it is what it is. And unfortunately, it's very important. I know a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of them, one of my nephew, and I have not met one Arsenal fan that wants to keep him. And I'm not saying that's the be all and end all, but for me, when a player leaves, like for instance, Emile Smith-Rowe left, a lot of the fans want him to stay. So and the thing is, as a player, I watched him a lot because I watched a lot of football. About 3 years ago, the year that Jesus got injured, he got a little bit run in the side, and he didn't produce. So we're talking about playing with Saka, Martinelli, and Odegaard. Now, I'm not saying that he can't produce for Palace because obviously he can, right? Again, having watched him play, we wanted to play for now 3 years. Dougie wanted him, and apparently now Glasgow wants him. I know we've linked him first under Vieira and obviously under Hodgson. I've seen him play. His movement's very good. He's quick. He's 2-footed. He can finish. But that was under 21 level for England and under 21 level for Arsenal. For Arsenal, I think the best he's had was 10 goals in a season. Again, I'm going to root for him to do well. He played with Everton in 21s. He knows it gave him 21s. I'm going to root for him to play. I just don't think it's a smart move. I'm happy, unlike other people, I'm happy to be proved wrong. I mean, I know people here when Mateta was doing poorly and I backed Mateta from day one, people were like, "Oh, Mateta's this and that." It took a while for him to come around. I'm not gonna name any people. I know. It's wild.
It's ridiculous. I don't know who wrote up Mateta.
I agree, yeah. And that's a wild thought. But for Nketiah, again, I'm never gonna say ever, even during reigns that he's a terrible player. I just don't think it's a great move. But we need a striker. You're going to go into Edouard. He's probably going to leave. I'm so tired of the anti-Edouard stuff anyway. Bring him in. Hope he does really well. There you go.
Yeah. Quickly, before I give my thoughts, I'm going to go to the super chat. As always, super chats get priority. Sam, thank you once again for the super chat saying, does he make the team better? And I can, I think this is a nice segue to my opinion about Eddie Nketiah. So look, I'm very happy. I am very happy for this move. I think I was looking through my tweets about him, saying, have I even kept my stance like this over the time? And yeah, apparently since 2022, watching him play, you know what it is with Eddie Nketiah? A lot of people are fixated on the price, on the goals that he scored for Arsenal. But for me, I think he's had a confidence issue at Arsenal. He's been at Arsenal far too long. They've given him big responsibilities at times, such as the number 14 and big wages. And we've seen it. We've seen it with Gallagher. We've seen it with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We've seen it with so many other players that are coming from top clubs to Palace, where the expectations are a bit lower, the pressure is off them, and they can play their football freely. For me, Eddie Nketiah to Palace is the right move. It is a step forward in the right direction. He is younger than Edouard. Of course, there are doubts about his goal scoring record, but he is much, much, much better than Edouard on the ball. Much better than Edouard on the ball. I feel like he can, he's got that connection with Eze as well in terms of their personal connection. So I think that link up play can happen over there. And also, he can offer more in terms of what we're expecting from Palace players. If you have doubts about Nketiah, which I mean, a lot of people will naturally have because of his goal scoring record, if you only look at that, my advice to you would be, and I've never actually said this, go and watch some videos on Nketiah. Of course, the highlights are only going to show the positives, but look at what this guy can do on his day, even for the likes of Arsenal. The one thing that you will see that is a common theme for Nketiah is that he is very good on the ball. He's a player that we don't have. We don't have at Palace. Mateta is, he's had this great run of form. He's been fantastic for us, but we don't have an alternative. Eddie Nketiah gives an alternative to this Palace side, which I don't think Edouard has been able to give to back up Mateta. So I think we improve versatility. I think he has pace to the side. I think he's very good on the ball. And I am, 25 to 30 million pounds. That sounds like a lot. And a lot of people are worried about, we won't sign a centre-back. We won't sign this or that. There's no need to panic about that. Centre-back will be sorted. They will be sorted. We're not signing Eddie Nketiah without sorting out centre-back. I have no problem with that. But what this situation is, we'll talk about Edouard. We are essentially replacing Edouard with Nketiah. And for me, that is an improvement. That is an improvement in himself. Some Arsenal fans think he's a bum for their own reason. Some Arsenal fans are saying don't underestimate him. He can actually come good. So it depends on what Arsenal fans you speak to. Of course, the expectations at Arsenal is much higher. It is much higher. They're aiming to go for the league, right? And I don't think Nketiah is that player to go and win you the league. But at Palace, with the opportunities that we create in Glasner's system, I'm really excited. I'm really excited by this signing. And I was not expecting a signing like this, but after the Forest deal broke, fell out, which, by the way, I'll have to add to people saying, we've been after him for a few years. Does Glasner want him? There's a report from Ben Jacobs, which I'll read out, saying that Oliver Glasner has actually played a key role in the Nketiah move. He urged the player to hold off joining Nottingham Forest and remain patient before completing the move to Selhurst Park. So yesterday, there were a lot of people saying that it was due to personal terms. That's why the deal broke out. Ben Jacobs was saying, no, actually, Oliver Glasner got in his ear and told him to hold off that move because Palace are coming for him. And that was my feeling anyways, my gut instinct in terms of wanting to stay in London, wanting to join Palace. And that is why the Forest deal broke out. And I'm excited. Look, a player that is, that could have easily joined Forest, has stopped himself from joining Forest to come join Palace. There's a reasons for that. And if Oliver Glasner is playing a part in that and he does want him, then who am I to say no? That's how I see it. That's how I see the situation.
All right. So as far as the report, let's hope that report is true, because again, I'm going to have a major problem with a player coming to Palace. Again, second player now. We've been linked with at least 3 years that's coming to Palace, and Glasner wasn't here 3 years ago. So you said that he wants him. I hope that's true, because that eases a lot of my fears. Because I don't care how good Dougie is or isn't. I don't want anybody forcing players on Glasner. That's not going to work. And my second thing is, you say he's much, much better than Edouard. I need to see that.
On the ball, he is.
Oh, okay.
He is. Edouard.
Okay. No. That's fine. It's been a while since you said that. I wanted to just clarify. And that's fine. On the ball, he definitely is. As a goal scorer, it's debatable because, again, Edouard's best is 8. His is 10. Obviously in a better side, you score more goals. I hope he's better than Edouard as far as a goal scorer and finishing, because, again, I am 100% totally sick of our fan base kidding Edouard, saying he's not good enough. I felt it, by the way, watching that game. I know you were at the game, D. Even at the game, after he missed that chance, I just felt like the crowd got, kind of, when he touched the ball,
But
he
there's a
got on
reason for
himself.
that, though, Patrick.
No,
There's a
I
reason
get
for that. There's a
no,
reason for
that's
that.
fine. No, listen, I don't have a problem with people getting on it. I don't agree with it, but you can do it. You listen, as a supporter or fan, you can do whatever you want, whether that's at the ground or via social media or whatever. You can complain. I'm just saying I don't like it, and that's not what I do. I'm not saying you can't do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, I definitely feel like it's time for Edouard to move on. So, Nketiah, hopefully he comes in. Listen, I agree with you. The London part is a big part. I know he does not want to leave London. A second part I heard today was that Forest had like a 75% reduction in wages to get relegated, and he was like, I'm not going for that. And I don't blame him. So there's a lot of reasons why I didn't want to go to Forest. Palace is a great opportunity for him, and I agree with you 100%. I watched something on him today. He is very much a confidence player. Very, very much. And I know I watched the Arsenal documentary. Under Arteta, his confidence was at a 1 out of 10 because he only got, like, I think, a point at one point, 3 matches in a row to play. He felt like I needed more games to get going, etc. So I get you, D. And let's hope this is a fantastic signing. I'm going to tell you right now, honestly, I'm just not excited about it, but that can 100% change based on how he performs. So.
I think it will. I think it will for a lot of the fan
see.
base. I think it will. I think it will. It will change for a lot of the fan base. So yeah, I think only a matter of time will do that. And of course, he has to prove himself as well. There's a few super chats. David, no comment, but super chat. So thank you for that as well. Really appreciate it. LIB231 Gunner saying, I guarantee you Eddie scored more goals at Palace. And that is Arsenal fan, for example, Patrick. And there are some Arsenal fans that are very excited about Eddie Nketiah in this case, of course, moving away from Arsenal because they don't rate him at all. But there are some Arsenal fans saying that, if he goes to a side like Palace or like Forest, and there's less pressure on him, that they believe that he will score goals. And I'm one of them. Of course, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm one of them who is on that wavelength. And I'm genuinely very excited about this. If this doesn't work out in terms of him potentially scoring goals at Palace, I'll be very upset because I do think the potential is there. I think the potential is there. He's, at youth level, Patrick, he scored goals. He has scored goals. I'll bring out the stats in about 3 minutes' time. But he's
bring it out for the chat. Trust me, D. I'm well aware of his stats. He was prolific. Remember,
doesn't that give you confidence? Because of course, you have natural doubts about him. But look, he's had some run of games at Arsenal. I'm going to actually try to figure out how many games, like what's the most consecutive games he started at Arsenal whilst being there. But for me, my overall feeling has been that, naturally so because of other players, he hasn't had, a good run out at Arsenal. But despite that, he still scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United in the Premier League. So it's a player that's, scored a hat-trick as well. There is a player in Nketiah. There is a player in Nketiah. I just think someone wants to bring it out. And Glasner is the right man for that. And if he's urging a move, as I've said as well, if he's telling Nketiah to hold a move because of what he can do with this player, that makes me more excited. It's a move that I weren't expecting. We weren't even talking about strikers, were we? A few days ago, number 10 and a centre back. We were desperate,
right?
But yeah, I do think that there is a potential there. For go on.
So just real quickly, as far as profile, he's definitely a better profile fit as far as being different than Mateta. Again, he runs in behind, 2-footed, can finish, etc. And his goal scoring record at under 21s, whether it be for Arsenal or England, he's the highest goal scorer under 21s in English history. He beat Alan Shearer's record. Don't get me wrong. My only thing is that does not necessarily translate to high level Premier League football. It doesn't. I mean, I can name a bunch of players who did well in under 21s at Palace and other clubs that didn't do well. But again, I understand what he's saying. I want to see if he can do it. Listen, again, this is what I'm going to say. I trust our scouting department. I really do. We chased this guy for 3 friggin' years, not a year, not 2. We know everything there is about this kid as far as scouting. There's nothing he could have done scouting wise we haven't seen. So from that standpoint, and if you're telling me Glasner now has looked at all the scouting reports, in Parrish's case, watch the videotapes and likes him, then that's fine. And I agree with you. If anyone can get it out of him, it's Glasner. But I just don't want him to be forced down Glasner's throat because, Dougie has been scouting for 3 years and said, I think this player can be the right player for you because, again, profile-wise, he's different than Mateta, which I think is really good. He can play with Mateta, by the way. He can play outside. He can play wide. He can play as a dual striker. We can change information around and make it a 3-5-2, tweak it a little bit. So that can work. But again, as far as needing another player that up top, we need another player. So I'm not a problem with that part at all.
Yeah. AY saying this is Dougie Friedman signing. I've just literally read out that Oliver Glasner played a part, if that is true, according to Ben Jacobs, anyways, of stopping that move happening to Forest. So this Dougie Friedman and Oliver Glasner signings, I think the breakdown between people saying, "Oh, this is Glasner sign, this is Dougie Friedman," I think he needs to stop. I do think it needs to stop. I think you can sign a player. For example, Kamada, you could say is a Oliver Glasner signing. But, you can have signings which, I mean, maybe Dougie Friedman didn't know about Kamada. He wasn't in his book. And Oliver Glasner, they have conversations like, oh, you know what? He can actually fit Palace. And just similar to, for example, Eddie Nketiah. Oh, look, Glasner, look, he can fit into your... Like, I feel like there's a dialogue there. It's not like Dougie Friedman's doing one thing and Oliver Glasner wants another. I feel like there's that suggestion at times of a divide of his signing and that signing. I mean, they talk. They talk. It's not like oh, Dougie Friedman signing players for his sake and Glasner wants to sign players for his sake. It's about making the right move for the football club, and I feel like we've done that all summer.
But D, I have to fight back with you on that one. Listen, Ismaila Sarr and Eddie Nketiah have been linked with the club for 3 years. Sarr may be longer because Sarr was linked with us when we had Zaha and Zaha supposed to leave. So to people to say that, I think it's a fair comment to say that it's a Dougie signing. Now, again, if Glasner wants him, that's fine. But it is fair to say Sarr and Nketiah, should he sign permanently, which is going to happen most likely, are Dougie's ones because Dougie's scouting for 3 years. I'm guarantee you, Glasner wasn't scouting Ismaila Sarr and Nketiah in Germany. But again, if he wanted, that's different.
Yeah, but then Dougie wasn't scouting Kamada. Probably.
No, and again, but again, that's fine.
We have to work together. That's the whole point.
I get that, but let's say a perfect example. Let's look at Chadi Riyad. Chadi Riyad fits the profile for both Palace, age-wise, and when he plays, and when he plays fits the style for Glasner. I think people are probably looking for more of Chadi Riyad type signings, meaning that they fit both, as opposed to either Glasner signings or Dougie signings. That's my thought. But again, I think people who think that way, I don't think you can just dismiss it and saying, you shouldn't think that way. But again, that's your opinion. That's fine. But I think people who think that, I understand why. Again, because Sarr and Nketiah have been linked with us for a very, very long time. A long time. So
yeah. And that's a good thing to have you on today because you have your doubts and I have my strengths of the player that I see that he can bring to the side. And we'll see. The biggest thing is, as Palace fans, we need to get behind the signing. It's not a cheap signing. But
I agree.
I think it shows how much faith that the club have in Nketiah for us to look. When that Forest move literally broke out, even before him being linked to Palace, I just had this feeling. I was like, I'll be shocked if he doesn't end up coming to Palace because because we've been after him. Dougie's really wanted him for years, so it's natural. It's the bid is due to be accepted by Arsenal as well. Personal terms should be agreed. There should be no issues there. So hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday, that move can be complete. It can be complete and we can have our new striker. But people, as I've said at the start of the show, there is a lot to talk about because it's going to have a domino effect on potentially on Odsonne Edouard. But before we get into the Edouard rumors that's been coming out after Nketiah, please, there's nearly 300 of you here. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you do want to see more future Palace content. And most importantly, if you don't want to see Palace content but you're enjoying this stream, please hit the like button. It takes a second of your time and really helps us out. We're on 104 right now. I know we can go to 200 easily. So thank you to every single one of you that's done that already. But if you haven't, that would be much appreciated. It helps the algorithm, helps grow the channel. So hopefully you all understand. Now, let's move on to odds. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, one more thing. Just so you know, when it does get done, it's going to be our second highest ever signing behind Mamadou Sakho. So it's not like it's this honestly, this can't miss. Well, other players he signed can kind of miss. You know how Sakho kind of didn't work out. I liked him, but he was injured all the time or whatever. This can't miss. At 25 million, with Sakho being 26, it's the highest we paid for a player ever in our history, and we don't spend big money. This can't miss. So there's that.
Well, you're adding more pressure into it, so fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. But yeah, it's not a panic signing. Let's just say that. Let's move on to Odsonne Edouard because there are rumors of him potentially leaving the football club now that Nketiah is coming in. We'll start off with Bobby Manzi's report saying that Celtic are interested in a reunion with Crystal Palace striker Odsonne Edouard. Alan Nixon followed that up by saying Atalanta, the Italian side, also is wanted by Edouard. Edouard was hoping for a new deal at Selhurst Park, but may have to move for regular gain this season. And Edmund Brack is also adding to that, saying that Crystal Palace are open to letting Odsonne Edouard go this week with Nketiah's expected arrival. Patrick, seems like one in, one out. What's your thoughts on that?
Wait, I stand corrected in the chat. Thank you. Actually, you're right. Christian Benteke, 32 million is the highest ever. You're right. It's Benteke, Sacco, and then Nketiah. How did it Benteke work out?
The first season was very good for us.
It was good, yeah. So one year.
And also, what was the question? What age did we sign Benteke as well? Can't remember.
He was 28, 29.
Yeah, Eddie Nketiah was 25. He just turned 25. Yeah. So it's younger. Yeah.
What was the question? Sorry, I was looking at the chat. I'm sorry. What was your question again?
Odsonne Edouard is linked to Italian side, linked to Celtic. Seems like one in, one out. Would you be happy with this move?
It's not about being happy. It has to happen, obviously. If Nketiah comes in, there's no space or no place for Eddie. Again, I don't think our fan base really took to Eddie after the first game against Spurs. He hasn't really produced. So I understand people getting frustrated 100%. So if he wants to go back to Celtic where he was very, very good, won titles, won cups there, or Atalanta. Atalanta's what? They won the Europa League, right? And they go in the Champions League. That's a big move for him. I know they're linked. I know that one of their best players is linked away. So it would make sense. I mean, that could be, listen, if we get the Nketiah deal done and get an Edouard out for whatever amount and recoup some of the Nketiah money, that would be a good deal. And I think it has to happen because, again, I don't think keeping Edouard at this point makes any sense at all. So I have no problem with that.
Yeah, it doesn't. And also, as you said, it allows us to, get more capital to spend it elsewhere. For me, well, I'll ask you, I've asked the chat already and people are sending it in. Let us know if you haven't seen the chat, how much is Odsonne Edouard worth to Crystal Palace? For me, if we can get anywhere around 10 to 15 million pounds, I think that's very good business. Where ideally now, if we're combining both of the transactions, bringing in Nketiah and let Odsonne Edouard go, that would be roughly around 15 to 20 million or 10 to 15 million pounds being spent for Nketiah rather than the 25 to 30 outright, because we'll be able to get some money for Edouard. But for you, how much is Edouard worth right now? Because he's a striker that has scored goals in the Premier League. So that's why I'm not hugely surprised about him being linked with a move over to Italy.
I'm going to be fair. He had great seasons at Celtic, but it is Scottish football and people don't rate it. I do to a degree, but it's not as high as other levels. At Palace, his best season was last year when he had the 8. If I'm going to be fair, I'm going to say between 12 and 15. I can't go over 15. Again, not my money. I think that would be a fair amount, anywhere between 12 and 15. Anything above that to me is a bit mad. But again, we've spoken in some of the shows before in the past. The striker market's very, very difficult. And it really depends on what Atalanta's looking at. I mean, honestly, I don't know what they want to spend and what their needs are. But as far as, like I said, amount, again, let's say 10 million, anywhere 10, 12, 15. I mean, I'll take what I can get. It has to be, to me, at least over 10. But I'm not going to go crazy if it's, a little bit above that. Below that, I don't think it's worth the right game. He has scored in the Premier League. He's never actually had a full season because remember we've already had Mateta and even Ayew playing up top. He's never actually had like a 38-game season. He's also injured a bit sometimes, but no, I think he can do it. And again, in Italy, you probably like it there. But at Celtic, they just lost Matt O'Reilly. They might lose a player, the Japanese player, to go to Man City. They need a striker. They don't really have a pure striker, and they got money. They definitely have money.
They just brought in 30 million pounds, so there's no excuses there. I mean, 10 to 15 million pound. We spent around 14 million pound for Edouard. So even if you can get that money back, that would be great. But even if you make a small loss, I don't mind it because it makes sense to just get rid of Edouard at this point, with Mateta and Nketiah being the 2 number 9s. And then hopefully, as we gain more money and less money spent on Nketiah, hopefully that number 10 position, we can still strengthen that area, because I think right now, things are exciting with Nketiah, because we were expecting, I was expecting not a striker. It was quiet, right? We haven't heard anything about Edouard. We haven't been linked to any strikers. Nketiah, of course, has been linked to Palace before, but it was all quiet. It seemed like he was going to Forest. So number 10 was the ideal number 10 and centre-back. But if we bring in a striker, for me, which we'll see, time will tell as well, but I think Nketiah will be an improvement to Edouard in terms of his overall game. And then bringing in number 10, that is positive steps in the right direction, Patrick. Where with a manager who's been upset, like we have to show that ambition, and I feel like we will be showing it if we bring in a striker as well as another number 10. So hopefully, with Edouard being sold, that should open up the door, right? Hopefully for number 10 or.
Again, my thing with the number 10 is if you look at numbers wise, we have two number 10s for both sides. When França is fit, and I know he's not fit now, we have França and Eze on the left, and you have Sarr and Kamada on the right. Now, I get that I've said it on every stream. I'm tired of repeating myself, people. I need to have a left-footed number 10, or to me, don't bother, because to me, a right-footed 10 makes no sense. I know D is a big fan of Raheem Sterling. I don't hate the player. I just don't think it would really make as much sense. But honestly, getting Nketiah in, for me personally, kind of lightens the desire for that number 10, because if he is as good as we hope he's going to be, he takes a lot of pressure off of Mateta because he's a striker. For me now, get the center back, 100% the Qua, hopefully, get a left wing back, and I'm happy. Now, for me, a number 10 is an absolute bonus, and I would take it. But for me, center back, striker, and Nketiah, left wing back, I'm sorted, I'm good. And a goalkeeper, which we're going to get to later on.
Yeah, because there's some players. Well, we know about Sam Johnston, but there's another player who's actually asked to leave the football club, which may come as a surprise to a few, which we're going to get into. But there's a super chat which I'll quickly answer. Thank you once again, LIB 231 Gunner, saying that Nketiah performed exceptionally well for us last season, especially during Jesus' injury, showcasing his capabilities with a hat-trick against Sheffield United. So yeah, look, he's excited about the prospect of Nketiah, and the money will help Arsenal as well because they're looking at bringing another forward. Go on.
So first, LIB 231 Gunner, thank you for super chat, really appreciate it. You know him better than I do, so I have a quick question for you. I know that Eddie's complained in the past of not having run of games. I know Jesus was injured. What is the most amount of games that he's ever had as far as run of games and for Arsenal? Because for me, that's probably the biggest issue. He hasn't played enough games, but for me, his output wasn't what I expected it to be, being that Jesus was out and he had a chance to play. So you can answer that. But again, thank you for super chat. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled for that because there's a lot of comments about that. But I was also going to ask that: do you see any possibilities of Eddie Nketiah playing behind Mateta in that number 10 role as well, because of what he can do on the ball, or no? It's not like an outright number 10. Like, cool, they are number 10s, but they're more like inwards. It's not like he'll be the playmaker of the side. There's Eze as well, but if he's comfortable on the ball, that's the most important thing, right? To get in them spaces, them tight spaces, and navigate your way through them. A player that's comfortable on the ball.
He is comfortable on the ball. I've really not seen him as much in that position, but I mean, I'll give him credit. T put it in the chat this morning about going to a 3-5-2, and if you do that, you put Eze more central, and you play Nketiah and Mateta. You can rotate them as far as who's high, who's low, who's right, who's left. That could work. That worked better for me than having, because what's going to happen? This is the issue we're going to have, and we have to stop doing it. Let's not compare it to Olise, Eze, and the 10 from last year, because that 10 combination was really, really good, and we can't replicate it. But I have faith in Glass. Say again?
You can't. The reason for that, you can't replace Olise.
Right, exactly. So, but I have faith that Gloucester can tweak it where, again, you put Eze behind them and you have Wharton, Decore, let's say, holding, and obviously Wharton pushing up, that can help. Or you can just have, you could try and catch up right and Eze out left and see how that works. But yeah, I think you can work with Nketiah and Mateta for sure. As a 10, probably not, but as a 9, 100%, I think that can work.
Yeah. I guess time will tell, because that formation change could also help as well in terms of putting Mateta and Nketiah next to each other. Which I don't know why. I'm just very excited. I'm very excited about this deal, which I know you're saying. Let's just see how it pans out, because there's a lot of money, and there is more news that's coming in, by the way. So let's just get into the next bit of news on a defender, which of course Marc Guéhi has been rumored to leave the club all summer long. Alan Nixon's added the following, and I think there's news dropping right now as we speak as well, is that Newcastle will actually make a final bid for Marc Guéhi. Eddie Howe is pleading with his money men to top their previous offer of 60 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Palace have a move for Lacroix at Wolfsburg lined up, but they would need 2 centre-backs if they lose Guéhi. Guéhi, which is important, which I felt like it was the case all along, Guéhi has not shown any keenness to move either, but would be given the chance to discuss the move. And I think that last bit, Patrick, is the biggest thing about me, because the narrative has always been that, Guéhi to Newcastle, he really wants this move. No, if he's really wanted this move, then the move would have happened. For example, with Anderson, it happened because, he wanted higher wages, he wanted a long-term deal. We thought the price was right, and it happened. We won't be holding a player that's so desperate for a move, for £5 million. Of course, we want our valuation, but that's not the case. But let's start off with the news of a final potential bid from Newcastle. And then afterwards, your thoughts on Guéhi maybe not being as keen to go to Newcastle.
It's annoying. It's annoying because, I mean, this is the fifth bid. Listen, I don't follow, everybody knows, and you told me not to say it, but I'll say it. I'm not a transfer expert as far as following, but I can't remember a transfer taking like 5 bids. You can take, I agree that you 1 or 2 or 3 to negotiate. This could be their 5th bid, and I guess they'll get to the 70 million. But what's annoying me is that it's just not good for the club. It's not good for the player. It's just not good. Because I thought he played well on Saturday, and people say he didn't play well, and they're saying that because his head's not in it. He wants to go to Newcastle. But I'm with you. He has not given any indication that he wants to go to Newcastle at all. I get the program. I read his program notes. He's a new captain. He sounded very excited about being the new captain of Palace. Didn't think he wants to leave. And in the past, I love Wilf Zaha. Wilf asked to leave at least twice, and we rejected him both times. So if you want to leave, it's easy in football. You have a contract. If you want to leave, you can put in a transfer request. Now, the club does not have to honor it, but normally if a player wants to leave, they do that. And he has not done that yet. Why he would do it on the 5th bid, I don't know. I hope to God that the board / parish, whoever it is, just says, you know what? Yes, 70 million was our valuation, but we don't want to sell. We decided that, we sold Anderson. We're not going to sell. So it's just annoying to me. It's annoying. It's worrisome, and it's annoying. But again, I love how Guéhi has reacted to this whole thing. Hasn't shown a desire to leave, being very professional. But it's just annoying at this point. I'm just tired of the Newcastle stuff. It's really just annoying. Sorry.
Yeah, I would look. There's also a news that I'd like to mention right now because it's just come out around 20 minutes ago. So whilst we were live, and that is on Joe Gomez. It's an exclusive report that's broke out from the Liverpool sources. Seems like a very reliable source as well, with over 500k followers on Twitter. And he has said the following, and this is Dave from, pardon me, people, from the Anfield sector, I believe, and the Liverpool fanzine. He's saying that exclusive Crystal Palace are leading the race to sign Joe Gomez before the transfer window shuts. A number of clubs are interested, but Crystal Palace lead the way at the moment, with Newcastle in talks for Marc Guéhi. The dominoes could fall if a deal is agreed with Palace. Liverpool are expected to sign a central defender before the window shuts. How do you feel about that? If Guéhi was to go, Lucra, I think, is coming in regardless. But as Alan Nixon mentioned earlier on in the day, that we'll need 2 centre-backs if that was to happen. How would you feel about Joe Gomez replacing Marc Guéhi?
Not for me. Good player. Played at Charlton, South London, Rays, good player. Knows a few of our players, knows Eze, for instance, from playing when they were young. No. What I heard was about, I think it was 50 million for him. I think it's a lot. If it was a cheaper, I would take him. And he's versatile. He can play centre half and he can play right back. Just not feeding Joe Gomez. And it's not a put down because he was in the Euro squad, didn't play, but he's a good player. I'm just not. He's got a checkered history as far as injuries. I watched him a lot when he was playing. He plays well for Liverpool. I'm not feeling that at all. I would not be happy to sell Guéhi and then bring in Gomez. I just wouldn't. Again, my biggest problem is the upheaval of losing both our centre halves. So if you told me any player's name right now, I would probably say no. And that's not a slight on that player. I just feel losing Guéhi and Anderson during the same window is not good for our club, not good for Glasgow. It's not a good look. I just don't like it. The optics are really, really bad. So again, it's not a slight on Gomez. He's a good player. It's like Chalobah, good player. I wouldn't want him to come either. And I'm sure he'll be linked tomorrow. But I don't like it. I just personally, I wouldn't want it. Yeah,
I agree with you. When it comes to Guéhi, it's too late in the window now. We need to just say, all right, that's it. Like we're not looking to entertain this because like we've gone past expiry date, right, Patrick?
Say that again. What expired date?
Like in terms of potentially selling Guéhi.
Oh yeah, that was 2-3 weeks ago before we sold Anderson.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
too late in the
yeah.
window. And as Nixon said, if that is true, of course, that report, it's like, yeah, they can put in a final bid. I spoke to Pete from the Loaded Mag NUFC podcast as well, and I'm just trying to explain
Right,
the situation. Look, he doesn't have a release clause,
right,
so I feel like that ship has sailed after we sold Anderson. It's as you said, I don't want to lose. I've been the one who said, you know what, I'd be happy with selling Guéhi for 65 million
I
pounds
remember that.
because
Yeah,
I feel like that money could be reinvested back into the squad. But that didn't include selling Anderson in the same window as
right,
well. That
exactly.
that for me, I wouldn't want to change it about too much. So yeah, I don't want Guéhi sold. I don't think Guéhi will be sold at this point of the window because we have to add. And I feel like the Nketiah move is a positive move. Lacroix will be nice as well. And also, if we did sell Guéhi, the point is to reinvest that money to improve us as a squad. Now, if you sold Guéhi for around 65 million pound, which is like the reported bid, right? That Palace won, we will
Right,
be only left with around 50 million pound due to the selling clause that Chelsea have. And if we're
exactly.
spending 45 to 50 million pound on Joe Gomez, then what
Nothing's
is the
left.
point? The point
Yeah,
is to sell Guéhi and then use that money to reinvest into the squad to try and improve the squad overall. For me, this whole business about selling Guéhi and bringing in Joe Gomez, especially if Guéhi isn't as keen for a move to Newcastle, it just doesn't make any sense. It's not a move that's going to improve us. So for that reason, for them two reasons alone, it's too late in the window. It's not going to be. It's not like we sell Guéhi and bring in someone who's gonna be able to. We're going to be able to replace him as well as bring in other players in different positions because of the money left. We won't be able to do that because Joe Gomez costs a lot. So it just doesn't make much sense to me, Patrick, in that stance.
yeah. I totally agree with you. And the other thing is, don't know how true it is, but I know I read a couple of things this morning about Glassland. He's not happy about the way things are going in the window as far as like the unsettling of our players. Selling Guéhi now is not going to make him happy. Even if he brought in 3 centre backs, he's not going to be happy that we sold sold our captain and our best centre half. So I don't like it. In the chat, someone asked me who would I want to get centre half. I already said it, Lacroix, because of the fact that Glazer knows him. To me, that's the best person to get. And then Kasunu was the other one from Leverkusen, the second one. I wouldn't want Chalobah or Gomez or anybody else in the Premier League right now. I don't really rate many of the Premier League centre halves that we've been linked with, but no, it would be Lacroix and Casono because I think they both would fit. And again, Lacroix's the number one choice because again, Glazer knows him, Glazer likes him, he knows the system, he fit in much quicker than anybody else is. But again, D, I agree, man. Listen, the point in the window, you cannot sell Marc Guéhi. That day has sold, and you're right. The number part, you're brilliant on. You're right. What's the point? We would
It doesn't
end up
make
with
any
a $5
sense.
million. Yeah, what's the
Yeah, it
point?
doesn't make any sense to sell Guéhi and then bring in Joe Gomez. But look, people, there's more. We'll see what happens with the Guéhi situation. For me, you can't sell him. You can't sell him. As Patrick said, it's not going to be great look to sell our captain at this point of the window after selling Anderson as well as Elise, which I get wasn't in our hands because of the release clause, but it's happened and this is in our hands. You know, we can make the decision about
Exactly.
selling Guéhi or not. So for me, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. Too late. Forget about it. You just told them, yeah, we're not willing to deal with you at this point of the window, and that should maybe be a lesson to Newcastle because a lot of their fans, not even their fans, their media has annoyed me a lot. The journalists who's been tweeting, edging closer, coming closer, this and that. I mean, when this first started, we was on here. We've been on here for the past month, literally daily, talking about all the rumors. The report was, I remember, it was like on a Monday that Guéhi was going to be complete this week, and that was at the start of August. They've just spouted nonsense. And Paul Mitchell, it's not really a great look for him. I think if I'm a Newcastle fan, I'm looking at him saying, why did you let this drag on for so long? What was the purpose? You bid like 4 or 5 times. It was not going to work out. Why do you let this happen? And also, it hasn't helped our situation as well. That's why I'm a bit weird views towards Newcastle, the board, especially after all this Guéhi drama, because it's kind of put us off. As you said, it's too much just noise around the football club that hasn't gone away for the past month, which we haven't called. It's not like we've said, oh, we want Guéhi sold. It's just Newcastle keep playing mind games and
Right.
just not willing to pay the valuation that Palace wanted. And now he's still continuing. Just look at your alternatives. Move on. Move on. Stop playing games with us. It's tiring. It's tiring
Yeah.
what they've been
Yeah.
doing. Anyways,
I
moving
agree.
on from the Guéhi report. Hopefully, he'll be staying at the football club. Let's talk about two players that are potentially going to be leaving the club, and one of them may be a surprise to you. Oliver Glasner has confirmed that Sam Johnson, which we all know, is wants to leave the football club, and Ahamada have both asked to leave Crystal Palace before Friday transfer deadline. Ahamada is keen to leave Palace on loan this summer. Sam Johnson, I'm not going to even ask you about that because, that's obvious. He wants to leave. He wants to be number one elsewhere. And we spoke about him before.
Right.
Surprised he's still at the football club this late on in the window. But Ahamada, Patrick, he's asked Glasner to leave this summer window. Your thoughts on that?
I'm disappointed. When he first was signed by Vieira, I thought he'd get a chance. We signed Lokonga on loan the same window. Then, of course, Vieira got sacked, and then Hodgson came in. Hodgson never gave him a chance. He came on as sub a few times last year, obviously, under Glasner, but, didn't really bed in. And it's unfortunate. I don't blame him because I know you and I spoke about it. I think there's a potential there. He's got at least 2.5 years left in his contract, at least 2 years on his contract left. I think just send him out on loan. Send him on loan somewhere, and hopefully he'll get playing time, get confidence back, and we'll see a player in there. Because next year, midfield opens up. Will Hughes won't be here next year, most likely. Who knows if Wharton's here next year? There's opportunities next year.
His contract is meant to run out, I believe, next summer, right?
Oh, he did. So I'm saying, right, Hughes definitely gone. And then again, maybe Wharton will get sold. And that's another whole summer of drama over Wharton. But my point being, there's more opportunities next year for him. But I understand that. I really do. I understand he wanted to play. And again, right now, when you think about it, I know Glasner wants to have two for every position, and he's got obviously Wharton and let's say Doucouré, and you've got Hughes and Lerma. There's no spot for Ahamada to play. He's not a 10, he's more of an 8. So in the 8 position, there's no for him to play. As a 10, I told you got France, Eze when they're fit, you got Kamada and Star on the right. There's no way for him, the poor kid, to play. So I have no problem. And listen, I'd rather him do that than moan or complain and be unhappy all season on the bench. It makes no sense. So let him go out on the loan and play.
So I've wanted a number 10 and a centre back and a left wing back.
Right.
For you, would this change in terms of who you want to bring into the football club if Ahamada was to leave? I don't think it changes for me because he's not really involved anyways. I mean, for the Brentford game, he was not even on the bench the first game of the season. This game, Will Hughes was out injured. So he managed to come on the bench. But do we need to bring in another player if we saw the Ahamada?
Like I said, we don't need to because of the way the numbers work, but it might open up an opportunity. It might. I don't think it changes much, honestly. It's a great point, D. Obviously, going back quick to Johnston. When Johnstone leaves, we have to get that's going to be sticky. I know you said don't want to mention it, but Johnstone leaving is fine. But when they ask him to find a club, I don't know who could come in for him. And I do not want Remy Matthews as my backup keeper all season. That can't happen because Henderson, I have no problem with Henderson. I don't love him, but I like him. He's fine. But if he gets injured, bro, I was at the Liverpool game last year. Remy Matthews. I'm not saying it was his fault for that second goal, but he didn't do much to save it.
I won't be there. I'll tell you that. I won't be there if that happens. I mean, that's the thing. This week is going to be a busy week. Very busy week. In a way, I can't wait for it to end because I do.
Nah. You love this. Stop that. In our chat, you're like, "Oh, this is great. You love this, bro. Don't even start. Don't try."
No.
Like,
honestly, I feel like the international break is needed for a breather because we are going to be on here tomorrow for the game. Hopefully, nothing breaks out in terms of news. I won't be shocked because it's like the fight last week of the window. And then we've got the match preview. We've got transfer deadline day show live on Friday, which I still have to sort out. That should be fun for once because we're actually expecting business to be done on deadline day, the way it's going right now. So yeah, it is going to be a very, very busy week. And number 10, a left wing back, a centre back is what is needed right now. And, I think Lacroix will be coming to the football club. It's that number 10 now. There's been a few names mentioned. Sterling, which has died down. Shirky, he's been the Lyon number 10. Right. He's been mentioned once again yesterday. And they need to sell him. So that could drag out till maybe a Thursday or Friday, a number 10. And that'll be fantastic. If we have Eze and Nketiah. Look, for example, down the left-hand side, we're sorted, in my opinion. Eze and França. That most ideal scenario, there will be the left 10s. The right 10s now, I think Kamada will be there, but I think there's a big question mark in terms of who's the backup to Kamada. Because we saw it even with Edouard starting against West Ham. And that is why I feel like we need a flair, creative number 10 alongside Kamada
Fair.
to make sure we have,
That's
you know,
fair.
proper depth in that position. And then up front, I think it'll be an improvement by having Nketiah, in my opinion, over Edouard with Mateta and Nketiah there. So yeah, number 10 is needed, which I think will drag out. I think the centre back should hopefully be completed sooner rather than later. And left wing back, I don't even know what's going to be going on with that. Even that's gone quiet.
I want to shout out to our chat, man. You guys are really on point. So I want to put this up real quick, D. Phil's right. He was suspended for that game against the first game of the season. He couldn't have been on the bench. Remember, he had a red card against Wolves last game, second to last game. So I think he couldn't have played. So that's a great point. I forgot about that. He was not on the bench. He was actually suspended for that first game. And then obviously he was on the bench for that second game. So Phil, appreciate you looking out for that. It's a great point. But no, D, you're right. I mean, again, we probably do need a right-sided if you're gonna. But again, see, the only issue I have with getting another player for the right side is what do you do with Sarr?
See, that is a question
now
that I'll
with
be thinking
Nketiah
about
too
as
now.
well.
That's going to be, you know, with Nketiah as a striker, Sarr's. If you change the formation to 4-4-2, then Sarr's great as a right winger. But if you don't do that, I'm afraid he might not play as much. This is why, again, another reason why Hamada should go, because again, it would Sarr needing minutes. That's even less chance at all for Hamada. Different positions, but just as far as numbers wise, he's not going to play. So again, it's a numbers game. It's a very interesting numbers game right now. It really is.
By the way, people, if you have any questions, send them through like David. I'm going to answer David's now because he sent a super chat, but I didn't have any questions. So I think it's only right for me to answer it. He's saying, how long do you think Francois will be out for? I believe till mid-September. So after the international break, hopefully he should be back around then.
It's cracked or broken ribs. I don't know. You know, it depends on how he heals and how badly it is, but hopefully it won't be that long. So yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I think Sarr, there's question marks over where he plays. But for me, look, Patrick, it's a good headache to have. Where does Sarr fit? I mean, the reason for that would be that we'll have another number 10, would have another striker, and that's what I'm talking about. Depth. So that bench should be healthy and strong if we do pull these moves. And that's the biggest thing about it. By the way, people, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to not miss out future Palace content as we're approaching 6,000 subscribers. Of course, the big goal is 10. So make sure to do that and leave a like if you haven't already done so. Let's go through some questions. See if there's been any questions or any super chats I missed out. So we answered David's question. If you have any question, put a Q and a dot before it. And whilst the questions are coming in, Patrick, let me ask you this question. How many more signings do you reckon will come in before the window shuts? Is this Nketiah move a surprise to you as well in terms of, you know, maybe might change your expectations in terms of the players coming in?
Yeah. Like I said, I think that alleviates the need for another 10. You know, we need a forward striking option, even if Edouard was to leave, which he's going to leave. So I think it's upgrade on Edouard to make sense. So for me, I mentioned before, I say 2 more. I say Lacroix for sure, and then a left wing back. I know you said it's gone quiet, but I still think either Gossens or what's the player
Kostic.
from Kostic are going to be the options. I think those. I still think because they're still out there. Kostic is still out there as far as like available. So and so is Gossens. So I think that would make sense. And again, I think it's possible to get a 10. I think the 10 is the biggest issue because Turkey aside, there aren't that many options. Turkey makes a lot of sense because of the fact that he's at Lyon and 1 year of his contract. You know, we know him obviously because the so quote unquote, you know, link between the two clubs. You know, he's played in the Olympic team. He knows Mateta. I just don't know if that gets done. But yeah, I think 2, left wing back and centre half for sure, and then plus Nketiah. So 3.
Yeah. For me, another number 10, of course, after Nketiah, centre back and a left wing back. Glassens did say ideally like 1 to 2 signings. I think he tried to put the pressure off the football club, especially to the press, because if he said 3 or 4, then the press will hold him accountable for that. They will ask him, you know, we haven't signed 3 or 4, so what's going to happen then? But yeah, I think 4 right now is still realistic, especially with Nketiah coming into the football club. It is. Let's go through some questions. There's a lot of questions coming in. Patrick, if you can, by the way, just try pin the questions whilst I'm reading them out.
Sure.
There'll be a lot of questions. If you can keep your eyes peeled for that so don't miss any questions out. Let's start off with Phil's question saying, what are your thoughts of us getting Cherki? I think it's a very good signing. It's a signing that T's been talking about it a lot. He's really wanted him. He's saying he's both footed. He's that creative flair number 10 that we need. He should come at a good price for us as well due to his contract situation. So I'm for it. Either him or Sterling, but I think he makes more sense. But the question is whether you'd want to join Palace, because that's been the questions all along. Would he want to come to the Premier League? Because apparently he was already rejected for them. So yeah, the rumors haven't died down, but I would be for him. I feel like we are missing a player of his caliber down the right hand side. Now, History Connoisseur saying Nketiah would definitely be a great move. Edouard just does not cut it. What do you guys think about Edouard? I agree with you. I've been a massive fan of his. If you're new to the channel, you might not know, but there was a lot of debate about Edouard Nketiah. I backed him a lot, but with all due respect, I think now is the right time to move on, especially with Nketiah coming to the football club. If Nketiah officially signs this week, will he be available for Sunday against Chelsea? Yes, he should be. Even if he signs for Friday,
Yep.
let's say worst case scenario. I mean, I doubt it will reach out to Friday. I'll be shocked. Then we still got time to register him for the game. So yeah, all signings should be ready.
Anyone we sign deadline day will be available because of the whole deadline will be, I think, 24 hours before the our next match, or there's a deadline on that Friday. But yeah, he definitely available to play on Sunday.
Yeah, Colin saying, what about Arejo from Benfica? I believe he's talking about.
Great player. Way too much money. Way too much money for us right now. And they said they weren't going to sell him. So I like him though. Really good player. Really quality player.
Would you rather him over Joe Gomez for that kind of price? Gomez is more proven in the Premier League.
No, I would take him over him. I think he's a better quality player. But again, he's going to be. He's not going to go for the release clause. I think it's over 100 million, but he'll go for 30, 40, 50 million next summer easily. So it's be very expensive.
Yeah, let's go through more questions before we do wrap up. We spoke about that. We spoke about Shirky. Let's see where we are. Nketiah signing. Hopefully I haven't missed more questions. Let me go further down the list. Has Sterling got genuine legs or is it media talk? Why would he come to us? Well, it's media talk for now. But I think Arsenal are rumoured with him. And I think I saw, who was it? Liverpool? No, not Liverpool.
Man United.
Yeah, Man United.
Yeah.
I think Sterling's going to be
involved. Yeah, once they're involved in the conversation, we're out. Once you get those teams involved, then we're out.
Exactly. Especially with his wages. Dan saying Nketiah score from corners seems to be low on them recently. He's not great in the air. I'll say that about Nketiah. He's not great in the air. He's not like the tallest player. I think he's like 5'10", around 5'10-ish, 5'11". So yeah, don't expect anything from Nketiah on corners. Saying that would be hilarious if he scores from a corner on his debut. That would be typical Palace. Harry saying, do you think we should have done business a lot earlier in the window so Glasner could get to know his squad straight away? I think it's a very good question. So yes, but there's a big but. Nketiah, we're talking about, we could have potentially done it earlier in the window, but did we have the funds? With Elise, say, leaving a club, you could debate maybe we did, because I mean we still should have a bit of money left over. But he was rumored to be joining Marseille, and then afterwards Forest. So for certain positions, such as left wing back, especially, we should have done it earlier in the window. Centre back, we've already brought in Riyad very early in the window. Lacroix, no, because Anderson and Guéhi were still at the football club, so I'm not going to hold the club accountable for that. Another number 10, that is a very interesting point, Patrick. I don't know where you stand on this, but because we signed Kamada and Sarr, I was wondering, maybe the club are looking to see how Sarr can fit into the side and Glasner's system. So it might have been a bit difficult to sign another number 10 straight away because they might have thought maybe Sarr could play there, which you probably could still, but it needs some time adjusting. So it depends on the situation. Yes, we could have signed players earlier in the window, but some of these opportunities are coming now because of deals falling out of place, for example, especially with the Nketiah one. So it's very hard to say, why haven't we signed everyone at the start of the window, which we did. I mean, Kamada and Riyad came very early on. And even Sarr came this season.
I'll say this. The Riyad and Kamada deals are great because they were very early, and that's very unlike Palace. But you're right, the timing is everything. Because if you had told me we were going to sell Anderson and Ayew towards the end of it, I would have said, you're mad. That's never going to happen. Why would you sell Anderson? Why would you sell Ayew? I wouldn't have thought it was ever going to happen. Guéhi, different. Or at least say we all knew he was going to go because of the release clause. So I think it comes down to timing. So you're absolutely right. As far as Nketiah, I don't know how to. I mean, yes, we've stalked him for 3 years, scouted him for 3 years, but The dominoes weren't in place. They were asking for a lot of money beginning of the window because they wanted to get money to buy Arsenal. And then he was linked to Marseille. That fell through at the last minute. Nottingham Forest fell through the last minute. So it wouldn't have got done any earlier. So in an ideal word, Harry, yes, earlier would have been great. But we got some deals earlier. But as far as the entire window, listen, Liverpool haven't bought a single player. It just doesn't work that way. You just, it's timing, man.
Crazy.
It's timing.
They haven't,
It's crazy. It's timing.
you know, they still haven't announced their first player, and we're approaching the final week of the window. So, as I've said, it's easy to say that, but I think it depends on the position and the situation. Because our situation has changed as the window has gone on further. Should we include an option to buy if we send Ahamada out on loan? No. That never really benefits a football club.
All right.
So yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
So when you don't want a player to come back, yes, we did that with Killian Phillips and with another player, the younger player that we sent out on loan. But as far as him, he's way too young to give up on, and we spent decent amount of money on him, and we haven't even seen him.
Not that much, £10 million. I'll check that. I forgot about it. £10 million from Stuttgart. It's not bad.
I said a decent amount of money. I didn't say a lot. I said a decent amount. 10 million is a decent amount.
Yeah. It's a low risk transfer, but yeah, I wouldn't include an option to buy because what if he goes out on loan? Question is, where does it go out on loan? If he does go, what if he just performs brilliantly and we put I don't know, 15 or 20 million pound release clause and option to buy clause, and then afterwards he goes for cheaper than market value. What if he just so it's a risk. I wouldn't include an option to buy. If he goes out on loan, if he enjoys his time at that football club, and if everything works out, then they can negotiate with us.
There you go. You're say the same exact thing. If he likes it there and you want to go and then you want to sell,
how he performs. Exactly. He might perform worse. He might perform better than expected. So it's hard to put an option to buy clause. It doesn't really help us. Lee saying, should we go with the first team tomorrow to gain confidence or make 3-4 changes to freshen up things? I want a cup run. So first option for me. Yes, first option.
No. Don't answer it. No. Lee, check out the preview.
I was going to literally say that. I'll say go with the first option, but we spoke about more than just that in the match preview. The opposition preview is also out right now. Patrick.
Very good, by the way. Very good.
Patrick knows. Patrick knows. He's used to it now. As Patrick said, go check out the match preview. It is out, so there's more Palace content that you can see along the way after we finish this episode. Of course, the opposition. By the way, the opposition preview. I'm not even saying this for the sake of it. I'll genuinely recommend you to watch it to understand a bit more of our opponents tomorrow because I think it was very insightful. I spoke to Henry from My Football Writer Norwich podcast, and the title of the video is "Expect Palace Goals," and he explains it all in the video. So it is very exciting. It even excited me further for tomorrow's game. More question. Oh yeah, rest in peace, Sven.
A
gentleman. Sad. Yeah, that was a sad story.
Very sad news.
Yeah, very sad story today. What's your favorite memories of him?
Actually, you know what? This is not England related. It's the Notts County story. Do you know the Notts County story?
No.
So he went to Notts County, which was at the time a League Two side as a director of football, and he signed Cassius Michael on loan, Sol Campbell on loan, because they were trying to get out of get promoted. And then it was like a really dodgy ownership, and he went to Korea to make the Korea. It's a great story. He went to Korea to meet the Korea dictator, and then with the owners, and then they just ran away. They just left. They didn't come back. And they're supposed to get money from Korea. It's a great story. So my friend's story is when he went to Notts County but on a personal level, again, great job with England getting us to the quarterfinals. Great manager on club level. So rest in peace.
And he was loved by a lot of people as well, from what I'm gathering. A lot of people like him. He seemed like a good, good guy all around. So thoughts and prayers to his family. I think he had a documentary. There's something stuck in my throat. I don't know if you've noticed that. I've been struggling the whole Palace news. I need a drink, and the drink is not even here. But yeah, thoughts and prayers to his family. It is a sad news that broke out in the afternoon. Let's go through more questions before we wrap up. There's a lot of questions, which was the case yesterday as well. Unfortunately, we'll be here all night if we go through all of them, which sounds great. But we've got a game tomorrow. We've got stuff to prepare for as well. Patrick saying, how long is it before Saar becomes a starter? I don't know if he becomes a starter. I think it's hard to say. But, tomorrow, maybe one day, because he's going to be a starter tomorrow. I suspect him to start tomorrow. So, yeah.
He has the ability to start, but I guess a great question. I don't know, Patrick. I don't know if he ever could become the starter. Let's just see. I mean, you've got options on that side. You got formation option changes with Sarr and Kamada. So that's a great. I don't know. I no idea. If he starts banging in the goals and assists, it probably won't be. He'll stay in the lineup. Let's just put it at that. Yeah. So
Yeah. All right then. We're gonna wrap up with this. I'm so sorry, people. Genuinely am, but we've been here for an hour. And normally it's meant to be like half an hour. Yeah, time has flew by. It's been a fun, engaging conversation. But it's a lot of questions. Of course, there's over 200 over here, so we can't answer all of them. But all the super chats have been answered, I believe. Just to make sure before we wrap up. Yeah, all the super chats have been answered. Thank you to every single one of you that sent them as well. And even if you haven't, even if you sent questions, so sorry about that if I haven't been able to answer it. But if you can drop a like, that'll be much appreciated. Let's end this with this question. A general question with the confirmation of our new stand getting the green light. Do you guys think this represents a desire to achieve a bigger brand and strive for a new competition? Yeah,
100%. Yeah. 100% does. Yeah,
it does. But it just needs to be built. Which the work has started, but it's just been dragging on.
Question for you: you were at the stadium. Did you notice any changes on Saturday?
No.
Okay, just wondering.
Apart from I saw a photo of West Ham doing a team talk outside.
Yeah. So apparently they're going to move the away dressing room under the Homesdale, but it hasn't been done yet. So they're in the same as last year. So
yeah. So I mean, where's the way? I'm confused though.
I don't know.
With the away dressing room, we have an away dressing room at Selhurst Park. The away dressing room was there. Well,
next to the home one. Well, COVID had changed it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, COVID changed it, but then they can go inside. It can go back to normal. So
yeah, but again, I think they moved it and they put something else in there, and they just want to move it permanently because it's where it is now. It's in the it's in the main stand. Remember, main stand going to get redone. So why put them back there when you got to move them anyway at some point? So that's why they moved them. They're going to move the Palace home dressing room also. They have to at some point because
is it?
They can start construction. They have to start construction at some point. That whole area, that whole side's going to be changed, bro.
So, actually, you're probably right. You're probably right. So yeah, you might see Palace pages changing in the car park. Coming like Sunday football.
Perfect. Right.
We're glad not having his tactics board before he faces Man United in the Premier League Boxing Day fixture. That's where we're going towards. That'd be all right, then. All right, people. We're gonna wrap up there. Thanks to every single one of you that's joined us live and have also watched us on replay. Thank you to all of you that sent in your questions. Sorry to those I haven't been able to answer. If you do want them answered, put them in the comment section down below after we do wrap up, and I'll try to get through as many as possible. Opposition preview dropped today at 5 p.m. Check that out, as well as a match preview. Massive game, of course. Patrick's got that as well. What's that, Patrick?
I forgot to mention it. So this morning, I just got in the mail the Palace subscription plus season ticket plus package, and look what I got as a gift.
Let's see. Nice. What is that? Is that a cup?
It's a mug, yeah. But unfortunately, it's supposed and also a coaster. It's supposed to play Glad All Over on here, but I guess it must have fallen off because I don't hear it playing. Can you hear Glad All Over?
Just like Palace in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Glad All Over is falling off. But hopefully, with some more signings, we can all be happy. But look, people, until next time, up the Palace.